All right, let's dive into something really special today.
Sounds good.
We're going to be exploring the world of Kroyan and his newest track, Yekaye.
Oh, I love this
I
track.
know, right? This is a song that had me hitting replay like the second it ended.
It's really good.
So we've got some background on Kroyan himself, and then, of course, a deep dive into Yekaye itself.
Yeah.
What struck me first was just like how Kroyan sees music.
Yeah.
He believes that it transcends boundaries. It's a universal language.
And that philosophy really shines through in Yekaye.
Yeah.
He doesn't just dip his toes into different genres. He seamlessly weaves them together.
Right.
You could think of it almost like a master weaver,
Oh, God.
creating this intricate tapestry, each thread representing a different musical influence.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Thanks.
So for those who haven't encountered Kroyan before, he's kind of a triple threat producer, composer, and performer,
Wow.
constantly experimenting, pushing the boundaries of what electronic music can be.
It really makes you wonder if he's part of a larger movement of artists that are challenging genre norms these days.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a growing trend of artists who just aren't content to stay in one lane.
Right.
Kroyan is definitely at the forefront of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's get into Yekaye itself.
Oh.
That first listen, for me, was like stepping into a different world.
Interesting.
It starts with this incredibly meditative percussion, very grounded, almost tribal.
It's almost like he's grounding you in something ancient,
Yes.
something primal,
Uh-huh.
before launching you into the electronic soundscape.
And that transition is what blew me away.
Yeah.
Those organic rhythms evolve, and suddenly you're surrounded by these futuristic, almost ethereal synths.
What's really fascinating is how he achieves that shift.
Yeah.
It's subtle yet powerful. He doesn't just slap the synths on top,
Uh-huh.
They emerge organically from the percussive foundation.
Oh, wow.
It's like watching a flower bloom in time-lapse.
Yeah, somehow, those seemingly opposite elements, the organic and the electronic, they blend together perfectly.
Right.
It's like he's found the missing link between two different worlds.
It really speaks to Kroyan's mastery of sound design.
Yeah.
He's not just throwing sounds together.
Right.
He's carefully crafting an experience.
Okay.
And you can really hear that in the way he uses these Afrobeat-inspired polyrhythms.
Oh, those rhythms.
Yeah.
They're impossible not to move to.
I know.
It's like he's tapped into this ancient energy.
Yeah.
This primal need to dance.
Totally.
Could you maybe explain a bit more about what makes those polyrhythms so special?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Imagine clapping your hands and tapping your foot at the same time, but at different speeds.
Okay.
That's a simple way to understand polyrhythms.
Okay.
It's basically multiple rhythms layered on top of each other.
Right.
It's a hallmark of Afrobeat music.
Yeah.
And Kroyan uses them to create this incredible feeling of propulsion and complexity.
It's like your brain is trying to keep up with all these different rhythms, and it creates this feeling of excitement, of anticipation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he doesn't stop there.
Oh.
He adds this deep, resonant bass line that anchors the track,
Wow.
and then layers airy synth leads and pads on top, creating a sense of space and movement.
It's like he's using sound to paint a three-dimensional picture.
Totally.
You got the grounding rhythm and bass, and then these ethereal synths just swirling around you.
And then just when you think you've got a handle on things,
Yeah.
he introduces the vocals.
Oh.
And those vocals are something else. They're not in English, but somehow they manage to convey so much emotion.
It's true. I mean, it's like they're speaking directly to your soul, bypassing language altogether.
Right.
The source material describes them as haunting and ethereal,
Yeah,
and I think that's spot on.
definitely.
They add this whole other layer of mystery and depth.
The tone is both soulful and otherworldly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when I first heard them, I got chills. Yeah. It was like a siren calling you from across a vast ocean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the way Kroyan uses layered harmonies creates this almost choral effect,
Right.
like a group of voices echoing across time and space.
It almost feels spiritual, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Like you're being transported to a sacred ritual.
It's not just music you listen to.
Yeah.
It's music you experience.
Yeah.
And the structure of Yekaye just adds to that feeling.
Okay.
It starts off minimal, introspective,
Uh-huh.
then builds to this incredibly vibrant, joyful middle section.
It's like a journey, a gradual awakening.
I like that.
And just when you think it can't get any more intense,
Yeah.
it reaches this incredible climax
Yeah.
where all the elements, the rhythms, the synths, the vocals, they all come together in this explosion of sound.
It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
Like all this pent-up energy is finally released,
Right.
And then it gently brings you back down to earth.
Yeah, and the whole thing is impeccably produced.
Yeah.
Every element is crystal clear, perfectly balanced.
Kroyan's attention to detail is incredible.
It really is.
He uses panning and spatial effects to create this sense of depth and immersion.
Right.
Like you're actually inside the music.
Totally.
It's the kind of track you just have to hear to fully appreciate.
You really do.
So why don't we give our listeners a taste of Yekaye right now?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
That short snippet gives you a glimpse of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The way Kroyan blends those organic elements with electronic textures, the haunting vocals, the infectious rhythms.
I know.
It's unlike anything I've ever heard before.
It's truly unique, and it makes you wonder, where does Yekaye fit within the larger Afro House genre?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's definitely rooted in Afro House, but it also pushes the boundaries in some really interesting ways.
What's fascinating is how Kroyan incorporates elements of progressive and organic house without losing that core Afro House energy.
It's like he's taken the essence of Afro House
and
then injected it with his own unique style and vision.
Right.
You get those driving rhythms, that sense of community and celebration.
Yeah.
But there's also this layer of sonic exploration, of introspection.
It's both familiar and groundbreaking at the same time.
Right.
Maybe that's why it resonates with so many people.
Yeah.
It speaks to something primal, that urge to move, to connect with others through rhythm, but it also invites you to explore deeper.
Right.
To think about the music's message.
It's a musical conversation starter.
It is.
And that brings us back to Kroyan's philosophy of music as a universal language.
It's clear that Yekaye isn't just a song. It's an experience, an invitation to connect with something larger than ourselves.
And the beauty of it is that you don't need to understand the lyrics to feel that connection.
Totally.
It's all there in the music.
Yeah.
If we think about the themes at play here, it feels like Kroyan is exploring this duality of human existence, the ancient and the modern.
Right.
The organic and the electronic, the individual and the collective.
That's a really insightful observation.
Thanks.
And it's reflected in the way he blends those seemingly opposing elements in the music.
Right.
You have the raw, tribal energy of the drums juxtaposed with the futuristic sounds of the synths.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that these things aren't mutually exclusive. They can coexist and even complement each other.
And the vocals add another layer to that idea.
Right.
Even though I don't understand the language, I feel this sense of longing, of searching for something beyond the everyday.
Perhaps it's that universal yearning for connection, longing, transcendence. Music, especially music like Yekaye, has the power to tap into those deep-seated emotions.
It's like Kroyan is creating a sonic bridge between cultures, between time periods, between the physical and the spiritual.
And I think that's what makes Yekaye so special.
Yeah.
It's not just a catchy tune. It's an invitation to explore, to question, to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
It's definitely a track that stays with you long after you've heard it.
Yeah.
It makes me even more curious about Kroyan's future work.
Me too.
What direction do you think he'll take his sound next?
It's hard to say, and I think that's what's so exciting about him as an artist.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, to surprise us.
Okay.
But one thing is for sure.
Is that?
He's a force to be reckoned with in the electronic music world.
Absolutely. I'm already eagerly anticipating his next release.
Me too.
And for our listeners who are ready to dive into Yekaye themselves,
yes,
you can find the link to the song in the description below.
Don't just listen to it. Experience it.
Right.
Let the music wash over you and see where it takes you.
And maybe, just maybe, it will spark your own exploration of the boundaries between genres, between cultures, between the known and the unknown.
I love it.
Until next time, keep those ears open.
Yes.
And keep diving deep.